Hi, I'm Hope Witkowsky, your host of Senior Scene. Did you know that seniors, as they go through the aging processes, may lose some of their hearing? And many don't want to deal with the stigma of wearing a hearing aid. On today's show, we're going to see the elements that will help us hear all through our long life. Judith was one senior who had been told as a child that she had a hearing problem. She managed to go through the years without ever seeking out hearing assistance. But then there was no getting around ignoring the conversations and fun life events that she was missing.
The first time I was told that I had a hearing problem was when I was 18 and had graduated from high school. And I went to interview for a job at Pacific Telephone. And I couldn't pass the hearing test to be an operator because you have to have really good hearing. Wow. I didn't do anything about hearing aids or anything until I was about 40, and I started missing words. Somebody would say something and I'd answer the question and they'd look at me questioningly, like, why'd you say that? Right. Because I didn't hear them. And I finally decided I needed to bite the bullet and get some hearing aids.
She was a model of the stories told to hearing doctors about why she didn't take action sooner.
My grandfather was hard of hearing, and I remember he used to go around with his little hearing aid thing in his pocket, and the wire went up to his ears, because back in those days they didn't have wireless. Right. And I just didn't want anybody to know I was wearing hearing aids. Mm-hmm. It's not attractive.
Dr. Balsam, a hearing specialist, sees many patients who wait too long to get relief from hearing loss, which he tells us is a bad thing to do.
You're walking around and you're making your brain work harder than it should. You also isolate yourself, and it's not healthy to not hear sounds in your environment. You need to, and that's one of the biggest issues as audiologists that we face, are getting people into hearing aids when they need them. A lot of people wait until it's so bad that they can't ignore it. That person's not going to be as successful with hearing aids as if they would have gotten them 5 or 10 years ago when they should have gotten them.
Knowing what can cause hearing loss is such an important thing seniors should learn about. Understanding how we treat our ears and the care we take can result in keeping our hearing at a healthy level during our aging process.
It can be genetic, therefore it's something that's passed down from generation to generation. So when babies are born, they have hearing loss. Wow. Sometimes it's just a little bit, sometimes they can be severe to profound. Sometimes when children are born with different syndromes, they can have hearing loss associated with it. Other things, you have aging hearing loss. You have people who get sick and suddenly lose their hearing. You have people that get injured. People that are around, noise-induced hearing loss. So people that work in factories or exposed to loud noises throughout their career, they can have noise-induced hearing loss. Mm-hmm. You also can have temporary hearing loss, which is called conductive hearing loss, which could be something from having fluid in the ear that has gone untreated, or just having an impaction of cerumen, which is wax. That can cause something like a temporary hearing loss until you go and you see a doctor and they remove it or they treat it.
Another big problem that we cause, and we do it ourselves, is clean out our ears.
That is a big no-no. The reason why is that when you use a Q-tip, you are removing some wax, but what you're also doing is you're pushing wax down too far down the ear canal. And when you push it too far down, there's nothing in that space to help move the wax out. In the outer portion, there are these little hairs that help naturally work the wax out of the ear. When it goes too deep, it just starts piling up. And what will happen eventually is it's going to build all the way up, and then it's going to block the eardrum, and then sound won't get past it. And also it's something you don't want to have a lot in your ear. So a little bit's very healthy, though. It's there to protect you.
Getting a routine checkup of our ears is a very good way to detect any problems in our future hearing. The equipment for this checkup takes advantage of new technology giving us the ability to see inside our ears during the doctor's review.
This is one of my favorite tools as an audiologist. This is a video otoscope. And the difference is that when I look in the ear, I don't look at it at ear level. I'm looking at it and I see everything on the TV screen. And the advantage we have from that is ear canals are really tiny and it's hard to see detail. So when we put it on the TV screen, we're able to see if there's wax. It's easier to see if there are bubbles behind the eardrum. It's easier if there to see holes. Sometimes like domes and hearing aids can get stuck in the ear, and this helps us remove it. So it's a very powerful tool. All right, let's take a look in your ear. It's beautiful. There's no impacted wax. It's your beautiful eardrum down there. You can tell there are no holes, and it's not retracted. So you have a perfect eardrum.
Why does the eardrum have hair? We see some people with lots of hair in their ears. You even may see some of them coming out of their ear, which seems to be mostly in men.
You have some hairs in your ear canal, which is there to protect you, but the hairs that you're probably talking about are the outer hair cells, which is basically part of the auditory nerve. So they kind of work like a piano. When you're playing a song, you have certain keys, and certain keys, when you play them together, make a song. So the way we hear, the cochlea has hair cells at the end, and each one is assigned a sound. And so when we hear, so when you say the word, let's say stop, st, and then ah and p, okay? So what happens is that those hair cells specifically are sent a signal, and then that signal is then fired to the auditory portion, which is in your brain. So it goes, you know, through the ear canal, through the eardrum, and it goes into the middle ear space, and then into the cochlea, and that's where the outer hair cells are, and then that shoots all the way up to the brain.
As seniors age, do you lose, like you lose your hair, you know, men go bald and all that. Does that also affect the hair in your ears?
That's exactly what happens with aging hearing loss, is that those nerve fibers or those hair cells that have been working every millisecond of your life since before, you know, you're even born, they get tired, and so they just stop working. So they can, you know, still work. Sometimes they have a little bit more damage, and eventually, you know, they could stop working altogether. Some people are born with hair cells that don't work at all, and those are people who are born profoundly deaf and sometimes get cochlear implants.
You may be thinking, do I have to ask someone I'm having a conversation with to repeat what they said to me? Or maybe you have to have the television on louder than you used to in order to understand what they're saying. This could be your signal to have a hearing checkup.
When you go for your annual exam, they ask you how you're doing with certain things, and a lot of time they don't ask how you're hearing. You have to bring it up to them, and I think that, you know, once you reach mid to late 60s, you should be getting a hearing test, especially before your hearing loss starts, for a baseline, so you can see how fast it is progressing. It's very important, and I think that that's something that as audiologists we need to work on, is getting to those general practitioners and having them know how important it is. Hearing tests are covered by Medicare. You just have to have a referral from an MD, and it's completely covered. So that's another thing that I think is really important for people to know.
There is research that was completed recently on the benefits of hearing well. The results may surprise you and cause you to reevaluate the need for a hearing test.
There's a lot of research. It's been going on for a very long time. They've been researching this for over 20 years, but basically they're saying that people that go with untreated hearing loss versus those who don't are more likely to have dementia. And they're trying to really narrow down exactly what specifically is happening. There's many different theories, but basically if you're walking around with untreated hearing loss, your brain has to work harder to overcome hearing, and you're draining other cognitive resources. So they also think it has something to do with social isolation. If you're a social person and you used to be doing a lot of things and now you don't want to do anything, that's not healthy for your brain to not be having all of that stimulation. It's your quality of life.
During the first examination, the doctor wants to make sure that you understand words. In order to get the most accurate reading of your hearing, you are placed in a soundproof room with headphones, and the doctor is telling you to repeat the words she says. She then evaluates your answers.
All right. Say the word ice cream, hot dog, baseball, birthday, cowboy, toothbrush. Good job.
When it comes time for you to choose which type of a hearing aid you want, You will be surprised at the variety of sizes, styles, and colors.
We have to accommodate a large range of people with different circumstances and different degrees of hearing loss. So after we do a hearing test, we sit down with the patient and we discuss, two different things, which is what style of hearing aid do they need, and then what type of technology do they need. The technology is the computer chip that goes inside all of these different hearing aids.
Oh.
So those are the two big decisions that we have to make. These hearing aids right here, they're called BTEs with ear molds. This would be someone, who has a severe or profound hearing loss.
Then they're pretty big. Oops.
They're very big, they're very powerful.
So this goes into the ear, and then this one goes around the side. I don't know if you can catch what that would look like.
We take a molding of the ear, so that part, the ear mold, this is made for a specific person. So we'll take an impression of the ear and we send it to a factory and it's custom made. It also can be replaced over time if the patient, ear canal changes. Then
is there a battery inside of this?
Well, these are dummies, but a battery would go inside of all of these.
Oh,
yes.
They would?
Yes.
And how long would this battery work?
Well, it depends. Typical battery, you'll get about a week's use out of it.
Wow.
There are rechargeable hearing aids as well.
Any of these rechargeable?
No, but I can show you on it.
Okay.
Basically, these right here, these are called RICs. These can all be rechargeable, which is it just has like a special little boot on the end, and at night you would just place it into the charger. Versus if you didn't have that, you would just open. There's a little battery door that you could just open if you didn't have rechargeable hearing aids.
So this is the smallest over the ear. So the person would have just a very little bit, showing right by their ear.
People with aging hearing loss tend to, the majority of the time, be in a RIC type hearing aid, which is all 5 of these models, these silver ones, right here. So, basically these 2 hearing aids right here are the same exact hearing aid. It's just that this has a bigger battery and this one has a smaller battery.
Oh, yes.
So if I had someone that, that came in and has really bad arthritis and I can tell they're struggling, I'm going to go with something as simple as just getting the bigger hearing aid versus going with someone who, doesn't want anyone to know. Then we try to get them in this style if we can.
And this one here, the only thing that you would see on this is this little teeny antenna.
Right. And our goal is not even to see that. That would hide right behind the tragus.
This goes right into the ear and only that little
This
teeny...
is the smallest digital hearing aid. Hearing aids today are really cool and they're Bluetooth compatible. We're trying to get hearing aids to be cool for our baby boomers because baby boomers want to take care of themselves. They know, okay, they tell me I have hearing loss and they tell me it's healthy for me to get hearing aids. So the baby boomers are getting them sooner than the generation before them, and that's pretty big on our part because they'll be more successful as they age then.
I think the younger you are, the easier it is to adapt. The older you are, the more resistant you are. If you're hesitant on getting hearing aids, you should really think about it, because think about how much you're missing. You're missing words, you're missing conversations. They have just about any type of hearing aid that you would need, that you can adapt to your own personal needs.
I hope today's show gave you some insights on the technology that's out there for people who have hearing loss. Don't miss out on the great conversations that are out there. If you do have a problem, seek help. I'm Hope Witkowsky reminding you, knowledge, it's a powerful tool. Tune in to Senior Scene next time for more secrets on successful aging.